Hi everyone, I am very excited to welcome you to our first UK Female Leader session, How to Unleash Your Remote Leader Superpowers, even organized by us, Startup Disrupt, together with Femme Palette. My name is Tri, and I'm from Startup Disrupt. For those who don't know us, Startup Disrupt is a global hub to provide knowledge, inspiration, and connection to entrepreneurs, startup founders, technology innovators, investors, and startup communities all over the world through a number of activities that we are providing, such as events, mentorships, or startup validator tool. Coming back to our today's events, we've got an exciting and diverse panelist of speakers ahead of us. And after our panel discussion, we will have a short pitch night session where we will be joined with two female founders pitching their amazing ideas. So before we start, I'd like to pass a word to Michaela from Femme Palette.
Hi everyone. Thanks for introducing the event. Just wanted to briefly introduce Femme Palette as who we are. We are a platform and a community for professional development of women in the UK. We started in Central Europe a couple of years ago, and we provide educational resources, organize webinars and networking events for our community to help women progress with their career development. We also run two programs. One is a mentoring program and another one is a coaching and mentoring program to indeed help women progress in their careers and in their personal development challenges. And for those who would be interested in joining some of our programs after the event, we do have a special discount code as well that you can use. It's Mentee UK 10. So yeah, please do find us, join our community. There's a lot of diverse and international women in the community from any industry, and I'm sure you will benefit by connecting with like-minded and more experienced women to, take the next step in your career or just expand your horizons. So I will now welcome Nora on the stage, who is going to be the moderator.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Hi, everyone. Welcome this evening to this wonderful session. I'm Nora, and I'm the founder of the Women Breakfast Club. Similar to Femme Palette, this is a network and a community for professional women, and I think there cannot be enough of these initiatives, so check it out. So for tonight, I have the immense pleasure to welcome you, the entrepreneurs, VC investors, and corporate career women that inspired us deeply. Michaela and Tui selected these women, and we will learn today from them how they are unleashing their remote superpowers. Before we jump into the panel, Kate is already here. Welcome, Kate. I'd like to encourage you to use the interactive tool of the StreamYard platform. So there is a chat function, and if you submit your questions throughout, the backstage team will push those to me so I can react to your questions. So without further ado, welcome to our wonderful panel. We have Kate here, we have Trin, we have Sujata, Justin. We have another lady joining a little later on. As career women in business, sometimes the deadlines are being pushed. So starting with an introduction round, we'd love to find out more about you. So please tell us who you are, what you do, what keeps you excited day to day, and what are the 3 words that define you. I can see Kate, Trin, Sujata, and Jesslyn on my, I don't know, I hope the setup is the same for you all, so we can go around clockwise.
That's me, just making sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Rose. I am originally from New York. Actually, 2 years ago to the day, I moved over to London. It's been quite a whirlwind. The first year was amazing. The second year, of course, has been interesting. I work for a company called Taboola. It's a global native advertising technology platform, headquartered in Israel and New York City. And my focus has always been on media account services, working with the biggest brands and agencies. It was in the Americas, and for the last 2 years has been overseeing a team across Europe and Middle East. So it's really great to be here today. Shall I share the 3 words?
3 words. What are the 3 words?
This is always my favorite thing to do. I would say passionate, for sure, brave, and strong-willed. Those are the three that I would share.
Wonderful. I write them down so we can get them
great.
later. This is awesome. I love passionate, brave, and strong-willed. And then over to Trin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Trin. I'm the co-founder of C, which is a capital platform for female founders to support them with their fundraising journey by providing them better access to investor networks, capital, and support. I was previously investor at the Venture Collective and also the Founders Factory, both pre-seed, seed stage, early stage funds, investing in early stage companies. And before that, I was actually building companies myself, built 2 companies in fintech and 1 company in agile tech. So yeah, I could definitely go more in detail, but save the time and maybe say the 3 words that define me. So I think I'm very practical and self-aware, and definitely I have a lot of empathy. So yeah, I think these are the 3 words.
Wonderful. Thank you, Trin. Wonderful to have you. So practical, self-aware, and empathy. Over to Sujata.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sujata. I'm the founder and CEO of You've Got This. You've Got This is a future of work marketplace where we're providing an opportunity for people who have experience in their careers to use that and their transferable skills to match with startups and small businesses who need that expertise. My background before this was in financial services. I've worked across asset management, investment banking, and in various parts of different roles. So looking at investment ideas and then moving on to building products and services. So launching online banking and setting up partnerships with fintechs on behalf of big banks. And my journey, with You've Got This started a couple of years ago, midway through 2019, when I kind of saw the opportunity to build something specifically tailored more towards women, really, thinking about the kind of flexibility that women were looking for in their work life and their kind of professional and personal life, and looking at how the future of work was changing. So I was looking to combine my interest in tech, the future of work, startups, and my background in finance. 3 words that describe me, I'd say innovative, collaborative, I think also very curious as well. So I'll give you those 3.
Brilliant. So we have innovative, collaborative, and curious. And I really love the name You've Got This from your startup. It's very, very cool. It's basically a mantra every day.
You need that. Well.
And then Jocelyn, would you like to just also, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and what are the 3 words that define you? This dreadful, you are on mute.
There you go. I knew it had to happen to someone. I am Jocelyn. I'm not on mute anymore, hopefully. I just want to say it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm Director and CCO at RPD. At RPD, we bring world-changing innovation to market quickly. So we work with clients as diverse as Unilever, through to Carlsberg, through to Playboy, in product innovation, basically to change the world, or that's the hope anyway. I really struggled with the 3 words to define me because it's really hard to distill, I think, a personality down into 3 words. So instead, especially with everything that's happened over the past year and a half, I went with an Elton John lyric, which is I'm still standing, still fighting, still here, still trying to get on with life.
So let me translate that for you. I think you might be resilient, you might be optimistic, and you might be adventurous.
Sure.
Does it sound good? Is this you? Okay. Alina, just in time. Yeah? Great. I don't want to push it down. I love the fact that you already broke the rule in the first question. Alina, welcome.
Yes. Hello. I'm just trying to fix my headset. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I can hear you with one of my ears, but not with the
That's okay. We're so honored that you were able to escape the previous meeting a little bit early to be with us this evening. And also, we all have our challenges. I have a little puppy that's playing with her squeaky in the background, so you might hear that as well. So the question we have, Elena, we're in the intro round, and it's who you are, what do you do, and what are the 3 words that define you?
Yeah. So I guess I am driven, positive, connected.
And do you also want to tell us a little bit about who you are, your journey, and what you're currently working on, or the company you're working on?
Yeah. So, well, I guess, do you want me to answer now, or is that?
Sorry, I realized that. Yeah, because you were late. So we have a little intro round, and the question is basically it's just who you are, what you do for a living, what you're passionate about, and then the 3 words that define you.
Yeah, so I guess I'm part of KPMG in the UK. So I personally focus on innovation, cloud, and analytics. I'm very much focused on clients, like client-oriented roles. But I do work a lot both in the UK and internationally with the technical teams as well. I guess in terms of the 3 words that describe me as driven, positive, and connected, because one of the key things I managed to do is to have quite an extensive network, which is quite unusual perhaps for some of my peers. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So now that we know a little bit more about you, we're going to go and head into question 2. So 1 year into lockdown, more or less, I remember last year, 8th of March, I hosted International Women's Day event. This was the last event before lockdown, basically, and it was exactly a year ago. So what were some of the biggest challenges and learnings you experienced when it comes to remote leadership? And we're starting with Trin and then go clockwise. And if you jump in, see if you have an answer, if you want to participate.
Sure. So biggest learnings. I think for me, it's been really learning to manage your time and how important it really is. I think, we keep on forgetting to focus a little bit more on ourselves within this pandemic when, a work day becomes just a long work day and there is no time for ourselves to do sports or focus on our own wellness and hobbies. But I think it's very important to take this time and not overwork, and it's good if you know to manage your time better. It's good for your team, your productivity, and I think this has been a huge learning for me. And obviously that we can do work from anywhere. It's been great learning for everyone. But also I think one important thing that has kind of stood out from our conversations with the team has been that we need to take more time for social engagement, not just talking about work with the team all the time, but also take time to talk about other things, because in the work environment, office environment, it's very easy to go for a lunch chat or something, but during this environment online, it's very hard to take that social time. So yeah, I think this is very important. And I mean, The biggest challenge probably for me throughout this time has been really finding the work-life balance, because, it all becomes one and work tends to win. So there's really nothing to break the day. So it's really about kind of pushing yourself to take time for yourself, which is very, very important.
So is it more, and others, please jump in if you have great ideas here to answer, but I'm just wondering, because I love people that are hugely organized, and I feel the remote environment really requires a lot of super organization skills, much more, and self-reliance and so on. So do you use any time management tools or hacks? Question 1. We're all still within the question around challenges and leadership learnings during these lockdown times. And then also, secondly, so apart from using time management tools and tricks, Is there a hack, like during the day you go for a walk in the afternoon or something? What are some of the experiences you have and some of the great tips that you can share with our audience? And by the way, can I ask there are people typing. It's not me, but whoever is typing, please can type. We can hear you. So it might be backstage as well. Just mute yourself if you're backstage. All right.
I can share a little bit. I completely agree and can relate to what Trine said. It's work-life balance. It's super hard. I think all of us, I'm sure, have very high work ethics, and our days can be intense even before COVID. For me, this isn't consistent, so but I do strive to have specific blocks within the week where I just block it out. And if I need just a few hours to go through email or focus on that, I do. Otherwise, I've been trying to just walk, literally leave my flat and walk around the park. There is real power in a walk. No music, normally I do, but it's been really, I've been really grateful for those moments, and just to reflect and think about my family, which I'm very far from, and maybe I'll call my mom back home in New York and just to get away a bit. So connecting with friends, even though it's another Zoom call or another phone call, has been a real fun times for me.
Great. And some other leadership hacks, ideas, and tips and tricks of how to enhance remote leadership capabilities.
I think maybe I can share. So actually in lockdown, I managed to get married between 2 lockdowns.
Wow! You're one of the rare ones that managed to get into the town hall.
Yes, I did. And actually, I didn't have to cancel my wedding, which was very nice. And I did manage to get a dress and everything in the lockdown, so I was quite pleased with myself. I think I also managed to get promoted in lockdown as well. So I guess it was very different for me, but in a way I enjoyed it because actually you get a little bit more time, perhaps, because you don't have to travel to work, and I was saving maybe a couple of hours a day, not traveling, not necessarily doing the stuff I tend to do usually. I also managed to lose, I think, 60 kilograms of weight because I was eating healthy, and I did manage to do it in the lockdown, which I can't fully manage. I think the tips from me, I mean, I really tried being positive, and I think I took a lot of time to learning something which I've never done before. I guess I was using a lot of videos and like Instagram learnings from some of the influencers and bloggers, in particular women, and I was quite enjoying it, to be honest. I think in terms of tricks specifically, I mean, I do Pomodoro. Maybe some people know this, but it's essentially you focus on one activity for 25 minutes. You really focus on it. So you can use an app and you can have some sort of music, which is predefined, or you can use your own. And then you have a gap for 5 minutes, and then you kind of focus again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I guess we were trying in the company to use this and also have shorter calls so that you have a bit of a gap. I thought that was quite good.
Nice, great. I'm also looking at, because Trinh mentioned it, around the importance of connecting socially with a team. I'd like to find out what were some of the examples or that you did.
Like me specifically? I mean, to be honest,
panel, the entire panel, everyone can jump in.
Yeah. Let me get in. So, I think, one of the things that, for us as a small team, we've done is try to kind of keep the kind of personal rapport as an important part of our kind of catch up. So we do product calls twice a week, and we spend time talking about, what's happening in our own lives and things like that as well, in a kind of more relaxed setting than it might be in a corporate environment. I think just thinking about some of the things that have changed over the last 1 year is this kind of move towards people are being hired in a remote context, people not actually meeting. So for us, it's making partnerships with people over Zoom meetings or Google Meet as opposed to going and sitting down and having a coffee. And I think that's the acceleration of digitalization that we're seeing. It's just a new way of working, people becoming more comfortable building relationships in a kind of online environment than we might have been before. Because I think had it been only 2 or 3 months, we'd have said, okay, well, let's have a chat now, and then we'll have a meet up in a couple of months and finalize it and things. So now we're actually having to kind of move forward in this context, and I think that's great to kind of create that. And I think what we'll probably see, and I think Alina was talking about it earlier, is that we'll see that happening to the workforce, that people are the typing is back.
Typing is back. I just like this ghost. This thing ghost. It's almost like spooky.
Everybody, show your hand. So
let's do this. Let's all just show our hands.
It might be audio for someone.
It's the weirdest thing, but okay. Okay, moving on swiftly. Is there another comment for this one? Just a great tip. Let's make it nice, short, and snappy for the next round, so everyone gets a chance to also speak in their individual questions a little bit more. So I'm interested. Hands up. Who has a Peloton or a puppy? Quickly. Any Pelotonists?
Peloton. Big fan of the Peloton.
Yeah. Okay. Puppies. Okay. So using Peloton and having a puppy, what are some of the well-being and resilience tips that you learned or you discovered for yourself?
Quickly, I also joined a rowing club actually in the fall. I rowed at uni for 4 years, and I really, really missed it. And I went for it, which was a startling reminder of how I'm not 19 years old anymore. But that's been great. But then lockdown obviously happened, and my husband and I, we splurged on the Peloton. And for the first time, I meditated. And I've been meditating once or twice a week, sometimes more or less. So I found the app and the Peloton bike, of course, to be great, but the app to have some really beneficial classes that mentally help just disconnect you from the day. So at the end of my day, I try to just do 5 minutes of meditating or quick yoga, and I move on for the evening and have a look.
Which app do you use?
It's the Peloton app. So it's great, and I think there's some free few months if you sign up. I should be a brand ambassador for it.
What are the other tricks? Any other well-being and resilience tips?
I'm probably the worst person to answer that question because I've been really bad at well-being in this lockdown. But I think I did start yoga, which I've never done before. So that was new to me, and it's actually really, really good. And I've also learned that, exercising is just so important, and you need to find time for that. But I was really lucky to spend my last lockdown in Estonia with snow and plenty of fresh air and time with my dogs. So it was a great therapy already. But I think what I would recommend in general is, if you have very long days during the weekdays and you really can't stop working until, 10, 11 p.m., then I'd recommend try to fully switch off over the weekend. It's helped me a lot to really not check my emails at all on Saturday and Sunday, except maybe Sunday evening. But yeah.
Well, I'll just add to that and say, well, given that it's my own business, I think I do end up working Saturdays and Sundays, and in fact, sometimes I have the liberty of not doing the 9 to 5 on the weekdays, but then, I can catch up at the weekends. And I think that's been incredibly beneficial for me to say, if I want to, spend a bit more time in the morning doing some exercise or doing something that, I feel is, important to kind of catch up on, I can do that and then catch up on my work later on. So I can move things around and spread it out to when I feel it's the right time to do it.
What about Jesslyn? I think you wanted to say something, right? So I'm just giving you the mic.
Yeah, I was just going to say the importance of routine, I think, is a key for me. I have my routine set every single day, and I really try hard to stick to it. And then actually at the end of the day, I bought a data page journal. And I've been trying to take 30 minutes, whatever time I finish, just to write down how I feel, write down how the day's gone, just be really honest with myself. And that's really helped me to pinpoint where the stress is and maybe where like anxiety is creeping in, or maybe a bit of apathy, or kind of not feeling quite right, and to work through those feelings. And just actually writing it down rather than being on a screen or on a phone has helped me loads.
Right, I write everything on paper always. I do have an app called the 5-Minute Journal, which I can recommend. It's awesome as an app. It's wonderful, and I've been using it probably for 4 or 5 years. But it really doesn't compare to a handwritten book. So I really like what Jesselyn said around using the page-a-day book. And I really love what you said, how important the routine is for you and you're planning your day. Do you do it in the evening for the day ahead, or you do it first thing in the morning? So you're mute. I need this. You're like a sign.
Sorry, it's really it keeps pressing off. It keeps clicking off. I do it for the week. I do my routine for the whole week, and then I don't give myself a hard time if that changes. But on a Sunday night, I really like to know what's coming, where I'm going to need the most energy, and then try and plan that energy across the week.
I'm going to
but
that.
I try and keep it.
Inspiration. That's a great inspiration. I'm going to try that.
Awesome. I know. I admire you.
Kate, did you want to add
something? Give yourself a break, I think.
Exactly. Kate, do you want to add something on that around well-being or resilience tips, and or was just a general comment, or can we move on to the next question?
It was pure being impressed by that level of diligence to plan.
I really love it. I really love that. Next question is for Trin. So you had a full cycle experience from being a successful entrepreneur in 2 ventures. I also know a little bit about you around another big venture that almost like the near venture, and now you're running investments in a VC firm. And I wanted to find out from you, how did your leadership style change or differ from an entrepreneur to a VC world, being really practical and hands-on as an entrepreneur to now being more leading? What were your experiences?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, you just have to be very scrappy, jack of all trades all the time, real hustler, wear many hats in a day. Also, I think as an entrepreneur, you need to be very creative, especially in early stages. And you probably have to be damn good at sales, because, you know, you're constantly selling your product to your customers or selling your business to investors. So I think these are the things that are really important. And I guess when I switched over to investment side, then it was actually a very big jump for me, and I had to take a leap there. And I actually also had to start from scratch in a way. So you really kind of have to be much more strategic, learn to manage your time much better, and really learn to say no much more often than you have, ever thought you will need to. So I think these things were the first things for me. And because in investments, when you start, it's all about due diligence, market analysis. So there are a lot of things that, you would probably focus a little bit less on when you're an entrepreneur and trying to do many things at the same time. But I think you still have to be good at sales, because you need to convince to get good companies in your fund, to take the money from your fund. And I think, there are still a few things that cross over, like being very empathic towards the founders as an investor. But at the same time, when running teams as an entrepreneur, having an empathy, understand and relate to your team, and being able to communicate everything very well is also a very important characteristic and factor.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because you were just saying what the 3 words that define you were practical, self-aware, and empathy. And it really is a transition from being an entrepreneur, as you said, being really practical, jack of all trades, then self-aware of how to improve, where's your growth cycle, and then empathy to really look how you can work better with other people and understand their emotions.
Yeah, and I would say one thing that you need to be always open to keep on learning. I think either you're an entrepreneur or you're an investor. You're never gonna be an investor who knows everything in 3 years or 2 years. It's gonna take 20 years, even 30 years. The more you're on this job, the more you learn. The same when you're an entrepreneur, right? So I think you need to be open to that.
And thanks for that. And I'm just curious, what's the advice you have for anyone who is trying to break into the investment or the VC world?
Yeah, I think it's very important that you develop your own opinion and thesis about the world, and make yourself seen and build your personal brand. And also, if you can already start helping the founders and you have these relationships with some founders, start doing that. Helping them with financial models or helping them with their with the business model or the deck or anything. This is already something that will give you a very hands-on experience. And also, I think if you can build your own kind of fantasy portfolio, or if you can invest small tickets through crowdfunding campaigns, you can do that as well, because then you also develop your own portfolio and thesis. And, once you go to VCs, I would really say don't ask for jobs. Show the value that you can actually create for them. And I think doing all these things that are earlier mentioned will actually help you to get there and show this value. If you want to read a bit more about it, I'd really recommend to check out it's a breakinto.vc. It's really, really good summary from a friend of mine and another investor who actually describes the whole process of getting into VC, and it's really, really helpful.
Wonderful. And did you have a mentor or someone? Was your friend perhaps a mentor for you and guided you to say, like, look, I think, Trin, it's time for you to not be the scrappy entrepreneur anymore. I think you have, go on the other side.
No, not at all. I think for me, it was, I wish I had a mentor. And actually, I was looking for a mentor at the time when I was thinking to take a leap. And I couldn't find one. And it was really frustrating. And, because this is the time when you need a mentor, because you're doing a huge change in your career. Yeah. I just always had curiosity towards venture capital. So it just drove me to take this leap and try it out. And one thing I would say, though, before you can go into investment side and want to become an investor and venture capitalist, really understand if that's what you actually want to do. Talk to people who've done this job, read about it, understand what the job actually is, and have something in mind where you want to end up. What is your end goal? What is the end game for you? Because it's much harder to make this wealth as a VC rather than as building a startup, because it's much longer journey and it's very different. So yeah, you have to really think through what your end game is there.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for the advice. Next question is for Sujata. So Sujata is the founder of You've Got This, and you're the first-time founder, and we heard from you in the introduction that you have a long-standing financial services career behind you, doing everything from asset management, investment banking, building products, and so on. So how has your experience been leaving the corporate ladder behind, which, by the way, it doesn't sound you did a linear career move in finance either. So I think you always were a bit of a curveball. But so what was the one thing that then made you leave the corporate ladder?
Yeah, so what's interesting is that as I was moving around in the banking world, I started building products and services and launching them. And I started learning about digital banking, and I led the online banking platform with HSBC Private Bank. And where I kind of went with that was I saw the opportunity for tech. And particularly what I noticed was that there weren't a lot of female entrepreneurs, and there weren't entrepreneurs building tech that solved challenges that were typically experienced by women. And that's where I felt there was an opportunity to build in that space. And I feel, investors like Trin as well, recognize that opportunity. I think where a lot of my corporate world is shaped my values. It's shaped my understanding of my strengths, of of what I enjoyed doing in my work. And a lot of that was to do with building. It was to do with creativity, innovation, looking at new ways of doing things, scalable ways of doing things. And that very much is captured in the kind of tech area that I'm now working in. And I've, had the experience of building teams and building products with teams. So I guess, now that I've kind of moved into that area, I think the way we build is very much in an agile way. So it's very much, design, test, build, which is very different to, say, some of the corporates, which tend to have, more kind of fixed ideas about what they want to deliver within 1 year and what that should look like, and almost committing to it in the budget up front. Whereas I think, the way we do it is, we'll test something, we'll see what the traction is, and then that will inform our roadmap. Which I think, some of the fintechs and the more innovative businesses are, working in that way now. But I think that shift is less common in some of the larger corporates, or particularly large banks, where, they have legacy systems and architecture and all of that. So that was my that's been my kind of experience with the differences. I think for me as an entrepreneur, I think my networks and my kind of I would say connections, those relationships that I've built through my career have been incredibly valuable. Reaching out to people and getting their thoughts on our product, getting them to test our product, and I think there's obviously a lot of value that experience is bringing to what I'm doing. But now applying a very different mindset to it, very much more testing and building.
So I really like what you were picking up on, the mindset you said, and the agile way of working, which is very different to the corporate world. And we have a very similar background. And the 3 words that define you are really similar to the ones that I would pick. You've selected innovative, collaborative, and curious, which really speaks to me that you're a born entrepreneur. So the question is, why did you go into finance in the first place?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think at the time, I worked in multinational banks, and a lot of it, they had these great international programs. So I got to work in many different countries. I lived in New York for a while. I was in Singapore for a couple of years, and then I led projects in Hong Kong. I worked in Switzerland, launched platforms in France as well. So I think that was a big draw for me, and I think that was very much part of it. But I do wonder sometimes why I didn't do this earlier.
I mean, look, it's funny because you learned a lot along the way, right? And there were incredible opportunities, and they made you stronger. I think that's what I think. It's really good for more senior entrepreneurs that come with an experience. But of course, there's also sometimes you meet amazing founders and they're out of uni straight away. And what's the one piece of advice you have for anyone who is thinking of swapping the corporate world for an entrepreneurial roller coaster? Because we know it's, high risk and so on. And a lot of people perhaps idolize and think, oh, the startup world is so much fun, all the hoodies and yoga pants all day. But we all know, being entrepreneurs or working in startups or having startup friends, that it's blood, sweat and tears 24/7. So what is the one piece of advice you would give someone who is trying to swap the security of a corporate roof for the shed that's called a startup?
That's a great question. There's many different aspects, different ways of testing if it's a right fit for you. And I think, just reflecting on some of the things that Trin was saying also, even in angel investing, investing in a startup gives you a little bit of insight into how it's working, and, they'll share updates with you on a regular basis. So you'll get an idea. And I did that, I invested in a few businesses myself before I kind of moved into this area, and female founders as well. And I think that gave me a really nice insight into what it was like for them. I think the other way, obviously, joining a startup or small business, and I think that's what our platform serves to do, is to kind of match people coming from corporate backgrounds and giving them the opportunity to kind of dip their toes in and find those relationships with small businesses or startups that they connect with, and they can see if there is a fit there and potentially take on longer term opportunities.
So very similar what Trin said, right? You don't need to take the full-blown risk. You can dip your toes into and just figure out, if at least minimize the risk that it's a full-blown disaster.
The third option is very much, what I have, learned through this process is also that there are ways to test things in a low-tech way. And I think a lot of, founders will kind of suggest this as well, is that if there's a way you can with our platform, what we did was we put up a website with the type forms, and on one side of the marketplace, people could put in their data, and the other side. So it was a very low tech way of kind of assessing demand and traction on the platform. And I think if you can find a way to do that initially, and maybe even while you're working, or while you're just thinking about it, then that gives you a bit of indication as to is this the right area that I want to build in. Great, wonderful. So the next question is, it goes to the panel. How did the experience of lockdown 2020, 2021 change you personally and professionally? When you look back, we heard from Alina early on that she aced her career, so we already have her answers. But was there a turning point? Was there something that really made you rethink your career strategies, your values? You died up, you died down, you went sideways?
I can share a bit. So working and living in New York City for about 10 years, there was this intensity that I personally was always on. You're working all the time, traveling in and out of the country, within the country, and I love what I do, which is good and can be challenging sometimes. And I think moving over to London, of course, and with the pandemic and being remote. For the first time in my career, I reflected on what have I done, what brought me here, what motivates me, and I think I'm a more mature and well-rounded leader. I'm very results-driven. I'm able to motivate a large group, but connecting with people in a way that I can say I understand how to be vulnerable is something that I was able to dig deeper in. So I'm still a work in progress as we all are, but I think it's been a good year. It's been challenging, but I do think for the most part, at least as it relates to career-wise and my profession, that I'm coming out a more well-rounded leader, which is good.
Great, thank you for sharing that. And Jesslyn, what about you? I'm just want to make sure that you get a chance here. So the question is,
you can actually hear me this time. I'm not on mute. Sorry, I think I've got a bit of a delay.
It's okay. We can hear you. We can. It's okay. It works
Great.
Well. Yeah.
I really love the point. I really love the point about reflection. Kate, I think that's just such an important thing about this past 18 months is the ability to reflect. I think the thing that I've really learned is to be kind to myself. It's really easy, I think, when you're going 100 miles an hour with business, you're traveling, you're trying to hold up your family life, your personal life, your social life, your business, everything, that you can put issues aside because you're just so crazed with it. And I think the past 18 months has given us the opportunity to actually go, hang on a minute, is that how I want to be? Is that what I want to do? Is that how I want to feel? So that reflection and that allowing yourself to be kind to yourself and things that aren't giving you joy and making you a better person, you can address them really properly and really drill into why you feel that way.
I really like that. Like what you said, like to be, to do, to feel, and in a really holistic, multi-layered way.
Yeah, and I would add to that actually. I had very similar experience and went through a big kind of journey throughout the lockdown as well. And I think I became more aware about what my real values are and what I really care about and what is the impact that I actually want to make in the world, and is it actually rewarding that I do beyond the money? So I think you need to always understand what your real values are that make you happy. And this becomes to like knowing where you spend your money, where you spend your time. And I think like when you actually write down like about 3 things that you're currently trying to pursue in your life and really ask yourself if that actually is your dream or it's just coming from the pressure from your friends or your family or some other external factors, then you get to the question of, is that what you actually really want to do, right? So I think like going through that during lockdown was actually really helpful. And, I think we all get lost in building these castles that we kind of end up not wanting to live in. And then during the pandemic, I think it just gave everyone a chance to think through and really audit their lives and decide how they want to spend the rest of their time and you know, what they want to spend the rest of the money on, right? So I think for me, it was the same. And I actually left my job and started C during the lockdown. So for me, actually, it was actually a great year personally and career-wise as well.
Wonderful. A lot of courage and bravery. I mean, not even bravery. I think there's never a better time than in a downturn to start a business. Apparently, businesses, statistically speaking, that are founded during downturns do significantly better. I think it requires a certain personality to start something. You need to be an eternal optimist, definitely, and resilient to start something when it's nosediving. So well done. Jesslyn, the next question is just for you. So you're a chief commercial officer. And how did lockdown and the remote work setup change the way you're leading your team? I know you have a busy team. I know some of your team members. You had clients from all over the world. So complete difference. So how did you adjust, and how did the way you lead the team change?
I don't think my leadership style particularly changed. I mean, I'm really lucky, Nora. I know you know some of my team and how wonderful they are. We're really close knit, and I know everyone says that it's kind of a bit of a buzzword, but genuinely, my team are all friends. Yeah, we're all really close, and we the trust thing is huge for us. So, you know, the need for care and collaboration was already in my leadership style, and we just took that to a digital platform. So it didn't particularly change. The thing I've noticed the most that has changed about me as a leader is I'm a lot more honest. I think before you think about protecting your team from, you know, feeling bad or that the company is, you know, in this horrible COVID world where things are very unpredictable and insecure. And I was just honest with them, and, you know, I had bad days, and like we all do, but a lot of the time I discussed it because it was nice for them to see that we're all going through this and we all trust each other. We're all working really hard for a reason. So when we had bad days, I shared with them and said, you know, I've just really fallen down today. What's happening? And they bolstered me back up. Or on the good days, I was like, this is fantastic. You know, we're having a great time. But I think honesty is what I've learned more than anything. And it's not something to be afraid of. Your team won't get scared. A lot of the time, my team were there just to pick me up and to make me feel so much better and to energize me to keep on going.
That's wonderful, fantastic. And then, given the operational aspect that comes with leading commercial activities, and how did you change to implement and inspire productivity engagement internally as well as with your commercial partners?
So we're an innovation company, so we should be really good at quick pivots into the virtual.
So we lost Jesslyn for now, which is not a problem. She will be back shortly. So what we're going to do is we're going to move swiftly to Alina. Alina, you won the Moscow Olympiad in mathematics when you were young, and you are an award-winning consultant and an expert in cloud and data technology. And so you have worked for some of the largest firms in the banking consulting universe. We can see you right now with KPMG. What's your view on female leadership? Is there such a thing, and how does it manifest itself?
I mean, to be honest, Nora, thank you very much for asking me. I didn't think of female leadership as something standalone for a long time. So perhaps maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I started being more in the leading roles. And to be honest, for me, female leadership is more about bringing some of the traits, such as empathy, such as listening to your colleagues, and, you know, understanding their individuality. And I think this is particularly important in the COVID situation as well, because empathy is much more required. Well, I guess it's always required, but it's very important right now. And I think for me, one of the challenges I've struggled in the past, I didn't really have a lot of female models. And I'm so glad that now, you know, we are having this discussion and we can see the models now.
Great, wonderful. And were there any obstacles that you had to overcome during your career journey? Like you really moved up the ranks. You just said you got promoted in the lockdown. It's, you know, it's hard to get promoted at KPMG, but, you know, in lockdown, like what were some of the hurdles? You know, we see that you're all glossy and all shiny, but, you know, reassure us that we're all human and there are some cracks and you found a way to overcome them.
Yes. To be honest, I had so many obstacles that I was planning to write a book about all my obstacles, but I'll probably go in to talk about some of them. I think the big one for me was when I moved from Russia to UK to start working in a big corporate. At the time, it was Accenture, not KPMG, but in principle, it's the same, similar type of work. And I think the biggest problem for me that as a migrant in UK in the corporate, and with my background, because I do come from a very simple and quite poor family, I looked very unusual. And it's not really about looking. It was like I felt perhaps like a tier 2 person rather than, you know, an empowered woman who can go and get promoted and lead. What is quite interesting is I moved from an analyst to a senior manager in 6 years, which is perhaps 2 or 3 times quicker than some of my peers in the corporates who may originally be from the UK. And I think the key obstacle for me was not even fitting into the culture, but understanding the culture of the industry, understanding the culture of the new community of UK in that example, but also of consulting, of technology, and adapting to it. So I was very keen to learn. I was very keen to observe people around me, to try to adapt, but at the same time have my individuality so that, of course, I don't necessarily change as a person. And I think I've been successful in that. I hope I was successful in that. I think that was probably the biggest and the most time-taking obstacle for me.
I just realized we have this in common, most of us at least. Justin, I'm not too sure about you, but all of us, we come somehow from, you know, I mean, Sujata, you're probably born in the UK, right? But your family originates from somewhere else. So we all have this a little bit in common. We that you had to come here and stood out a little bit and had to blend in, understand the roots. And I think that's the message that Alina is saying is, to succeed anywhere, whatever it is it in VC, is it in startup, is it in a corporate world, it's really understanding the rules, and women are quite attuned to understand what is going on, the rules of the game, and then perhaps being adaptable enough, and we can use that as a female power, as a strength. Now that there's Jesslyn back, welcome back. I'm asking the question again. So we were talking about the tools and operational challenges that you experienced, and then in terms of creativity, productivity, and engagement internally and externally. And the last thing we heard from you before the line broke was that your organization, in theory, is very innovative and quick to pivot because you're an innovation agency.
Yeah, sorry about that. Real tech problems here. Hopefully you can hear me properly now. So internally, we're really lucky that everyone we work with is pretty creative. So they quickly pivoted to go, okay, here are 300 suggestions of how we can keep the team spirit and keep everyone close, and keep those relationships going. So, but the other thing, we had a load of new starters during lockdown, which I'm sure everyone else has in the panel has experienced, but trying to explain culture and team to new starters without actually being anywhere near them, and some of them we haven't even met in person, is actually quite difficult. So we did a lot of virtual office experiences where we would all sort of sit in a virtual room together, just to kind of have that feeling of being around each other. And things like switching up meeting formats from week to week so that there wasn't this fatigue of being on camera all the time, and taking time to review how we do things. So experimenting, just, you know, trying things out, because it's really nice for people people to go, this week, why don't we do it this way? And actually having the space to be able to do that. So
What's
I
your
think
favorite?
internally, that was how we went about things.
What was your favorite experiment? The one that you thought really turned out really well? One of your favorite meeting experience or?
I really love just doing, we did like a speed dating to get to know people. So, and even people who've worked in the company for a really long time. So it's kind of an open format where you just have a minute, everyone's on camera, and you just ask as many questions as possible. And the things that came out of that were absolutely hysterical.
So one person and everyone on camera, or how does it work? Or is it one-on-one? No, it's one too many, and your fire drill, yeah? Good, we're going to be fire drill in a moment.
And the stuff that came out was just hysterical. I mean, I learned some things I'd never wanted to know, but very, very funny. So yeah, internally, I mean, we've had a lot of fun. We get on really well, so it's been really nice. On the client side, that's tough. I mean, we've got offices all over the world, so we're quite used to being in a virtual space with clients and with our teams in Shenzhen and in Amsterdam. But something that we've been trying to do is kind of relieve client boredom almost. So we moved all our pitches to video. So it felt like video pitch decks instead of kind of PDFs. So it felt more interactive and people were actually having something to look at and to watch. We do a lot of virtual workshops. So whereas the client would have been in the room before, because product engineering is very hands-on. So we do a lot of virtual workshops where we're all together, but in the client's workshop, seeing things happen. And I think again, it comes back to this honesty thing with clients, giving them more view of your process, the team, giving them more access to everything you do, just so it feels more like a collaboration, especially when people feel lonely during this and people feel as if they exist in a vacuum. So doing everything we can to make it the most collaborative process possible.
Sounds really fascinating. I'm gonna book in just a project with you guys just because I want to go through that experience. Sounds really, really tempting.
You're welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you. Kate, the next question is for you. So you're director of media accounts at Taboola, and you're a passionate advocate for female empowerment. I know you started internally of the organization initiative called Taboola. Taboola, did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more. What's the initiative about? And when did you start? What's the birth story?
Sure. I know it's a mouthful, but so Taboola was founded less than a year ago, so 9 months ago, which probably overdue. It was certainly time. I have been, as I mentioned, I've been at the company for 8 years. It's founded by Israeli founders. The culture is very much embedded in that, which I find to be great and exhilarating and motivating. And when I started, I was employee number 100. It was a very small startup when it began. And now it's almost 2,000 employees. I was one of, I think, 20 in the New York office. And it's grown now. We're IPOing in the spring for more than $3 billion. So we've come a really long way. But when I started to even 2 years ago, when I looked up, there was no females. There was no females in the business sector and the organizations at the VP level or above. So my level is director, and there's many amazing women at this level and in middle management. And when we looked around, we just thought, okay, this can't end here. We have to show that there's growth opportunities, and that this company is a company where we want women to choose to grow, not to feel like there is no opportunity. So about a year and a half ago, the company acknowledged that this was a problem. The statistics were super low in women across the world.
It took them 9-10 years to realize that.
Yes, but we got here, and it's especially in R&D and in product and in the different organizations there, it's even worse. So a year and a half, we have an SVP of People Operations who's fantastic, and her mission from day one was a diverse organization full of making sure people feel included, and that we're working towards not equality but equity. and having a completely different discussion than we ever had. And it's like she swung a door open that we were all waiting to see. And myself and 5 other women took the opportunity to say, okay, this isn't enough. We need to make sure that there's a safe environment for women to come and speak about their challenges, about what they're facing, create a mentorship program that we're really excited about, but also share their successes. It's something that within the culture is not as prominent, and myself and many other leaders are trying to make that more of the comfort zone where we're sharing successes, and it's not uncomfortable for women to do that. So we got together, and it's great when a few amazing women that we've all been at the company for a while. We've been able to establish credibility, and we got together within a month. We said we have to make a huge splash. Everyone at the company needs to know about To Rule Her. And we had a big event, virtual big event, where more than 400 employees joined live, and we had nice women, internal women that were amazing. A keynote speaker that I think we all will remember what she said, and she said, "I'm sending the elevator back down. You know, I've been able to make a path for myself, and it's time for me to give back." And so just because we may not see, you know, a lot of women above us in the executive roles, there's no reason why we can't make it happen.
Absolutely. And you said you're passionate, brave and strong-willed, and I can really see that passion coming out when you're talking about Tabula, and also the bravery and the strong will to make sure it is, you know, bigger and better than anyone imagined. And I really like it, what you said around the mission to create a diverse organization where people feel included and working towards equity, not equality. And I think really looking at that and elevating the conversation around diversity and inclusion towards equity, I think is really inspiring. Where do you think this initiative is going to go from here?
Good question. There's so much. We're just getting started. We had our virtual sales kickoff event, global kickoff, a few weeks ago, and we had something called a social lounge, and we invited anyone that wanted to join, male or female. And the discussion alone was incredible. People were honest and open about what they want to do to make this company a place where women do choose to grow, and men supporting women in that sense. The first step, though, is like I said, I'm very results driven, and I think it's holding the senior executive team accountable, and they are already raising their hand saying, we're making a goal to increase the statistics of not just females, but diverse employees. So raising that to 45% of VP and above within the next 3 years. So having an end goal, which I still think is just the beginning, is something that we hope to push forward as a collective, the 6 of us, but it's really all of us at the company. So really making sure our voices are heard. I think as women, we like to think that our actions always speak for themselves, but we also know that we need to speak up and share and use our voice for good.
Yeah,
Kate, I'd love to kind of tap into your experience of being part of that scale up journey as well. You know, like just to, you know, to be part of that, you know, would be, you know, really good to hear about it.
Oh, anytime. I'm happy to share. It's been a really exciting journey.
You know, the idea was to now move into panel questions, but because I really liked Jesslyn's idea that she had, what she did with her team around asking questions to the others, in my head, I had already changed it to, let's just do random questions to each other and do question time ping pong. And so Sujata read my mind, and Jesslyn, we're just taking on your idea around fire drill questions. We call it the question ping pong, where everyone on the panel can ask and direct a question specifically to one other person, so not random. And Sujata just asked Kate to find out how her journey was from early stage scale up from 100 people to 2,000.
Yeah. It's been a rocket ship that I never imagined I'd be on. And I think what I've learned is, and I'm really I'm happy I lived through it this way, is that anytime there was an opportunity, I found a way to seize it. And I tell everyone on my team is opportunities will come in and out of your professional career, and it's about how you seize them, and it's about the relationships you make along the way. So I've always been on the media side of the business and running very big revenue-driven teams, commercially-driven teams, that I never underestimated the power of relationships as you go through your career. And the beauty of our company is that there is no hierarchy, in the sense that you can give the CEO a call and he'll say, yeah, let's chat. And that culture has always stuck, at least with me, throughout that. So it's been incredible. And to the moment of IPO and going public is, of course, every startup's, a bit of the dream. And I think we still have a long way to go and a bright future. So.
Nice, wonderful. Thank you so much. Sounds really, really inspiring. I'm definitely gonna, schedule a coffee break with you, a virtual coffee break to find out more. Trin, I know you always have good questions, so I wonder if you have a question that you want to direct to anyone else, but it can't be Kate now, so you need to direct the question to me, to Alina, or to Sujata.
Maybe, do I have to pick one? Okay, I'll then maybe just put it out there. I'd love to learn what was the most challenging, biggest challenge throughout your career, and how did you overcome it?
I think Alina already mentioned that, so I'm moving that to Sujata perhaps, because we had a similar question before, and with Sujata's corporate career, I'm really sure they were.
I tell you, I can tell you, and I think one of the biggest things for me was visibility. I think I became a bit invisible in the organization in my corporate career, and I think it was because I think one of the things Kate mentioned is that we tend to expect that our work is going to get recognized because we're working really hard. And I think that's something I had to put effort into, and to kind of find ways to ensure that I was getting the recognition for the work I was doing.
How did you do that?
So a couple of things. One, I actually won some awards, and I think that helped a lot. So I've submitted applications for awards in my industry, and I won an entrepreneurship award, and I was a finalist at the Women in Finance Awards. The other thing is also about being. It's very, very difficult, I find, in some ways, where I was in an environment where it was, I think the BBC has done an audit on it that the number of women speaking on TV is much less than the number of men speaking on TV. And what would happen is we'd have town halls and we'd have events, and there would all be, the same guys speaking all the time at the same events. And I think, I did try to mention it a couple of times to people, I could give an update on my own project in this meeting, rather than, it kind of going.
Passing the notes on to someone who is.
Yeah, so things like that, just I can see some people nodding there. So just, having that consciousness that, in order to kind of to be visible and to be seen for the work that you're doing is important.
Great, wonderful. And welcome back, Jocelyn. We are playing indie then.
Also, I just now that I remembered, is also actually with other women, is if I can give credit to other women for the work that they're doing, then they also reciprocate and give me credit for the work I'm doing as well. So I think that's a really important aspect that we can all use a bit more, to support each other move up.
I really like that, and I think it again comes really to what Kate said about what this lovely lady said around I'm sending the elevator back down. It's exactly that. I once attended, during my time at BlackRock, a breakfast meeting that was organized for all women in that division by the now CEO, the European CEO of BlackRock. And at the time she wasn't, she was a COO in one part of the division. And she organized this large breakfast event for all women. And she sat next to me and she said one thing to everyone, and it so stuck with me. And it's wherever you are in your career, wherever you are in your life, and you're in the world, whatever your little universe is, you always have the opportunity to be a role model for someone. So being aware that it doesn't matter, we don't need to be super high, but there is someone who looks up to us, and how can we actually share and be positive and encourage them and inspire them to achieve more. So a quick question round. We're going to do 2 quick question rounds. So everyone, quite quickly, we do clockwise, okay, train and so on, about a role model. Do you have a leadership role model? If so, who is it and what are the key traits that you like about that person? Doesn't need to be a woman, can be a man too.
Funny, as I'm speaking about female empowerment, and I mentioned I've never had any females to look up to. I've never had a female boss. So this groups like this, it's been great to join. I think I would have to say, in terms of a leadership role model, it's my current manager. He's a VP. He's wonderful. He asked me for the first time, the real first time, "How are you?" and meant it. And I said, "I'm good," and started talking about business. And he said, "Wait, how are you?" And that alone, knowing that he cared to ask, wants to know, was very powerful, and also someone that helped me find a new confidence in the next level of my career. Because I don't know if you all have had moments where you kind of doubt yourself and you are unsure where you're at. And
it's self-doubt, right? It's a safe place here. Everyone has that.
He made it okay to feel that way, and he made it okay to feel like, it's okay if you make a mistake, or if you think, you make a bet on the wrong candidate or the wrong, account. So it's been great, and it's definitely helped me improve, of course, but he is a man, and he's been very influential to me over the last 2 years.
Great, wonderful, thank you. Trin, to you, do you happen to have a role model, and if so, what are the key traits that you like about that person?
Unfortunately, I have the same situation that I can't name someone, a celebrity or someone who someone would know, because I think role models really come from your experience, from your family, from your work. So for me, actually, my role models are my mom and my dad, who built incredible businesses out of nothing, and done it from scratch themselves and become very successful. My mother didn't even have a university degree, and after bringing up 3 kids, she decided she has still enough time to start building a business. So I think that was always my role model, and I've always looked up to my parents in that. But also my dad has a team of, 30 people, 40 people, not too many, but he's had the same team for 20 plus years or something, and there's no employee turnover as such. So he must be a good leader to be able to motivate and maintain all these people. So yeah, I think my parents have been just the best role models for me.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm just checking quickly in with backstage, because we're going to have startup pitches, and I have that they're going to be in 8 minutes to start. I just want to make sure that we are not running over, and give me an indication that it's good, that we can finalize the questions. Tui, if you could okay, it's all good, great. So then we go to Sujata, please. If you have a leadership role model, it could be anyone. Absolutely, I really love what Trin said. It doesn't need to be a celebrity or a famous person. And what are the traits that you like about that person? Oh, and you're on mute.
Thank you. The first one is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And very much inspired by the way she's using media and the way she's communicating her message in a really, really effective way, to build her kind of to build a following around her ideas. And I think I can totally relate to how she feels when she goes to work every day, given my corporate career, where she's surrounded by people who don't necessarily look like her and will challenge her for things that aren't necessarily based on what she's saying, but also maybe what she looks like or what she sounds like or where she's from. And I think it's, I'm not saying that everybody experiences that in the same way, but I think it's really interesting to see how effective she is in operating in that environment. The second person who I think, just even in my startup life compared to the corporate world, I think just seeing how somebody can use social media and present ideas is also quite inspiring. Second one is Anne Bowden from Starling Bank. Had the pleasure of sitting next to her at dinner a couple of years ago. She obviously overcame a number of different obstacles in setting up Starling Bank, and starting a startup, a bank, in her late 50s is very, very inspiring, using all her knowledge and experience that she gained over her career and believing in herself and backing herself. And I think sometimes that can be the hardest part is just, getting started and trusting that you have everything you need, you have within you to achieve your goals, and then finding the resources around you to actually make it happen. So yeah,
Great.
That's the second one. And then the third one is Romy Sober, who's from Pension B. And I think, female founder, she's announced potentially that she wants to do an IPO now. And I think, just seeing people like that go through that process and again, a traditionally, male dominated environment, pensions and finance and, and kind of creating products like that is fantastic.
And Jesslyn, what about you? Do you have a leadership role model? And if so, who is the person? And what are the character traits that you really admire the person for?
I just want to reflect what everyone else has said so far, because I totally agree. Great bosses, parents, and social role models. I've just read Anne Boden's book, and I suggest it to everyone. It's really inspiring, fantastic. I actually want to give a bit of a shout out to the female engineers in my team. I've had a lot of chats with them recently about sort of being a woman in engineering and taking that stand and making that step, which is sometimes a scary one because it's a really male-dominated environment. And I'm really inspired by them and their fight and how they've had to really push for dominance within the industry. So yeah, I'm really inspired by them, and they're sort of leading the fight. It's not so much a leadership kind of inspiration, but it is a leading inspiration.
Yeah. Great. So we just missed we lost Alina along the way, which can happen. So we're going to have a few more minutes before we are handing it over. Alina is coming in. So Alina, so your leadership role model and the traits that you like the person. So
yeah, I'll probably share more of a personal leadership role model. So I wasn't always successful, and there was a period in time when I was actually classified as non-performing, and for me the leadership was minor, so you wouldn't recognize the name, but it would be the key mentor for me, who believed in me and believed in me at the time when perhaps the other people, in particular women as well in the organization, didn't see me as, either progressing or staying in the company. In fact, I was told that if I was not progressing, I could, get moved out of the UK and have to go back to Russia because I'm on a work permit. And that was a difficult time for me. I think the important thing for me is when you find a person who actually brings the best out of you to show to other people and actually believes in you, even when you are maybe on the lower part of your distinctions at the point, are probably the key people for me. Because I would like to say that probably now, when I'm more or less successful, people come to me all the time, but at that point it was just one person.
Great, I love that. Thank you so much for, again, just the honesty and sharing the real life story rather than, we always read the gloss in the media and so on, but it's really, we have all been there in these difficult situations. It's really inspiring to see that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. I always say when you're going into a tunnel and it's a dark place, you never know how long the tunnel is, but the pure fact of the tunnel, right? You see a little light at the end, so there is. At one point you're going to get out, but you don't know how long it takes. So that's my little wisdom for the evening. And we have all these little stars. So that's almost in the background. So it's like a tunnel. So we have 3 minutes to wrap it up before we're going to go into the startup pitch event. And what I like to do is, I want to thank all of you before anyone just accidentally drops, for being so engaged, for being here, for openly sharing your wisdom, for your personality, for just being who you are. Absolutely inspiring and amazing. It was such a pleasure and honor to moderate today's event. What I'm going to do is now, I took notes and I'm going to read out the little summary of today. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed. Put all your phones, you all unmute yourself so you can clap if you hear things that you really, really like. So we had a book recommendation from Drin, Break into VC. And she also mentioned the importance of having a coach or a mentor. And it's really important to keep on learning. And Sujata said the importance of understanding technology and finding ways of using technology, agile design, build and test. And she lives by that principle. I can't hear any claps, so you need to unmute yourself and clap for the team so we are in it together. And Jesslyn said, be kind, hold it all together, and put issues aside, be, do, and feel. I really like that. Trin said on the question what really helped her, or the reflection she learned in 2020, 2021, the impact and values. And she also says the audit of your life. 3 things you are pursuing in your life right now. Ask yourself the question, what are the 3 things you're pursuing in your life right now? And then figure out, is it really what you want to do? That's the audit of life by Trin. Lina said the obstacles she overcame, and moving from Russia to the UK, and then really understanding the culture and fitting in and adapting, and such a learning curve. And then Jesslyn spoke about the journey at Tabula, and how she created an internal network and is really lifting and inspiring and bringing diverse organization where people feel included and work towards equity. Really an inspiring initiative. A quote she shared was, I'm sending the elevator back down, around the concept around female leadership. And she also mentioned the rocket ship I never thought I could be on, talking about the upcoming IPO of Tabula. She also said, every time there was an opportunity, I seized the opportunity. The importance of having visibility and stepping up and being in charge and control and leading your own life. And then when we are looking at who were the role models that really inspired us, we had the family members, the moms, the dads, the grandmothers, media voices, female engineers in the team, and people that believe in us when everyone almost lost hope. And with this, with a belief, with knowing that you all are absolutely rock stars on your own little rocket ship, and we are all together in the universe, together connected in the universe, I thank you very much, and I'm handing it over to Tui.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Tui.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I was just thanking you, Nora, and to all our panelists for a great and insightful discussions. And we will be moving to our last part of our event, where we will be joined by our 2 startup founders. So just to recap how this pitch night work is that each founder will have about 3 minutes to present and introduce their startup, followed by 7 minutes of feedback round from our experienced panelist speakers. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Ella from Vegan Eats. Hi, Ella. The stage is yours now.
Hi. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, hi. Really, really nice to meet you. I must say that I haven't pitched this yet, so any feedback would be actually really valuable. Just quickly to introduce myself, my experience is in tech startups for nearly 10 years in sales and marketing. I realized there isn't a solely vegan delivery app. And that made me start working on it slowly. And then in the process, I discovered that subscription boxes have been really successful. I'm sure you know HelloFresh, and there is a vegan one called Plants as well. But this is just a website. It's not an app, and it's not kind of instant. So you need to plan for it. So I wanted to create something that kind of combines something that would be like Deliveroo and Uber Eats just for vegans, and on top of that I would have the subscription boxes, and on top of that I realized that a lot of vegans don't know, a lot of people who want to become vegan, they don't know how to start or what to eat. And I realized that I could work with nutritionists who would create bespoke subscription boxes for people who want to try veganism or who are already vegan that prefer convenience of a subscription box. And also, sorry, I forgot my thought on that. And And then the other feature would, sorry about that. The other feature would be private chef hire as well, which is just kind of an add-on that would be added in a couple of years. But the main thing I would start with would be the subscription boxes, because I don't know if you're aware about virtual kitchens, where you can just hire a kitchen and hire chefs, and you have a lot of flexibility. So this is what I want to start with, and build this subscription box service based on nutritional advice. So I want it to be very bespoke, but I still want to have the options to have more of a VIP service with nutritionists, and more of a just kind of cheaper option for subscriptions as well. And the other thing, after that, I would launch the delivery. I would work on partnering with vegan restaurants and build that delivery service for vegans. And another thing I need to mention is, if you do have the pitch deck, that the financial projections are okay, but so basically the valuation and the financials has to be redone, because the financial advisor I had, I think he actually valued the company quite too much. So I would need to get someone else to reevaluate that. So just to make you aware of that. Apart from that, I think there is definitely a gap in the market. There is a lot of vegan products, and I think in the future, if I could add other products to it, even cosmetics and just kind of everything vegan, and create this all-rounded vegan community and service. And the other thing I want to have is also, because I'm passionate about charity, and I don't know if you are aware about the free school meals situation that's been going on in the UK, and I want to support that. So I want to deliver free school meals, which will be very healthy and nutritious, because at the moment what free school or free meals kids are getting are very just, like one potato, one carrot, and it's really supposed to be for 1 week, and it's really ridiculous. And I want to provide something better for them, and I would have an option for donations for that in the app as well, so I can support the restaurants and make that possible for them to spare on a weekly basis or monthly basis, whatever we can really afford, to start with probably just once a month and once a week to deliver the school meals for children. And I would say that's all more or less. And the other thing regarding COVID is that a lot of people have lost their jobs from the hospitality business. So I'm looking to hire people who lost their jobs, who worked in restaurants or in bars and clubs, and onboard them as chefs or drivers or whatever other positions the app will have. So yeah, I think that's it from me. I would love to hear your opinion about it.
Thanks, Ella. We're just going to have our remaining panelist speakers back to give you a feedback. Yes. Would any of you would like to start?
Yeah, I can go first. So thank you, Ella. It was great to hear your idea and understand what you're trying to build. So can you just give me a little bit of background as to the work that you've done so far? How much is built already? Have you done any early stage testing? Have you spoken to users both on both sides of the marketplace? So restaurants or people who make the food and then people who buy the food, and then have you got any idea on pricing?
Yes, it's a good question. Unfortunately, I haven't done much just because I can't afford to do anything before funding. I'm trying to set up at least a website for now, and once I have the website, I can start actually emailing restaurants and chatting to the owners and see what they think. And the other thing is nutritionist wise, I have spoken to a couple of nutritionists who are interested in taking charge of this side. And in terms of the pricing, I do have a pricing model actually, which is in the deck, but it will vary. I want the prices to be quite accessible, but I also have more premium option. So I think it would be quite, I would say quite, I want it to be quite affordable in terms of the subscription boxes, but have this add-on to have nutritional service, which exclusive in a way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Ella. Thanks a lot for this pitch. I just want to understand a little bit what your go-to-market strategy looks like, because it's a very it's expensive to acquire customers in this space. And I would also imagine that, you know, Deliveroo and Just Eat and all these providers already have their own vegan option in the menus. So yeah, tell us a little bit maybe about your customer acquisition strategy and go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that yeah, you can order vegan definitely on Deliveroo. You know, I do it all the time. Yeah, sometimes there are issues with, you know, they bring me something with cheese, even though I said without cheese. So that's kind of the annoying part, but it doesn't happen every time. But I agree that it's difficult for people to move from even me as a customer. I like to stick to things that I know, and I know most people are like this. So that's why I actually want to start with nutrition-based subscription boxes, because I think with the branding, I want to start with that for people who want to become vegan, they don't know how, and kind of guide them. And for people who have been vegan for years, just have their kind of own platform. So I would like to start with that and get some recognition from there and visibility, and then actually approach restaurants to sign up and to have a bit more visibility, even if you're just a customer and you've already used subscription boxes and you see, oh, now they deliver from restaurants as well. So I actually want to do it this way because I have much more control over the subscription boxes, because I can just hire a kitchen, hire chefs and start to distribute this. And that's how I'll get a bit more recognition for the restaurants to sign me up as a partner. Because if I start to approach restaurants, nobody knows me, and I think it would be difficult for them to agree on a partnership. So that's how I think that, at least that in my opinion, that's how it could work better.
Thank you, Ella. One maybe note there. So are you saying it's going to be more of a B2B approach rather than going directly to end customers?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually answer your question about customer acquisition so much. No, it would be both, of course. In terms of acquiring customers, just a lot of good kind of branding, marketing strategy, social media, because a lot of I think veganism is very popular in the kind of social media generation and Instagram, and nutritionism has become really big as well. And I want to partner with nutritionists who will promote the subscription-based service to their clients. So I think that's kind of the approach I want to take. So customers would actually be hearing that from like vegan bloggers and nutritionists, and also even personal trainers. I've been speaking to them, a couple of them, about, because sometimes they come up with meal not subscriptions, but with meal plans for their clients. So I've been speaking to a personal trainer about that, introducing our service to his clients. So I want to kind of build this kind of trust via these third-party partnerships for sure.
Just a quick question, and I apologize, like my audio wasn't as great. What's your competitive advantage? Why should a personal trainer or a restaurant work with you instead of maybe more prominent supplier right now?
Well, I don't think there is exactly anything like this. There are a couple of vegan websites where you can just purchase, make subscriptions to them, but it's not exactly like a vegan delivery app. Really, it's just a website, and I think the approach is that there is nothing like this, and I want to make this kind of big community of basically very well-being, fitness-oriented, nutrition-oriented, community-oriented delivery restaurant, just kind of everything vegan and food-related all in one. And why they would work for me? Obviously, I would make it a viable partnership for them. They would get their percentage, and it would be, I think, good for them because obviously they can get people from me as well, so it can be like both ways. But yeah, of course, there are websites for vegan food, but there is nothing like this, so that's my main point. That's why I decided to work on it, because as a vegan I realized there is no vegan delivery app, and I was getting frustrated. So I know that existing vegans feel the same way. Or I also want to target people who are not vegan, but they want to be healthy, once a week only. They don't eat meat, and they're just vegan once a week. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Any remaining feedback you have to Ella?
Well, I guess I can share you my experience, for example. So I was losing a lot of weight this year, and I appreciate I'm not vegan, but something which I found as a customer, which perhaps is not in the market, but I want to see more in terms of nutrition, is when you have a plan and it specifically says, for breakfast you eat this, for dinner you eat this, in the middle you eat this, and there is a structure. And what I found when I am at work, I can't actually cook. Even if I have a structure, I don't have enough time to cook, right? So something for you to consider, because maybe people will not want to go to restaurants specifically, because it's again a challenge perhaps. But if it can be something which is delivered to your house for the whole day, which is pre-cooked, right, and you just eat it, that could be an option. Because one of well, my key, I wouldn't say friends, but one of the key ladies that helped me lose weight, that was one of the services she's providing, but not in the UK, in another market, which worked out quite well.
Yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, basically the subscription boxes, they will be cooked already, and they will be, let's say if you sign up for 1 month, you'll get, let's say you choose a day, but let's say Monday you get 5 meals or 6 meals or whatever the package is for the whole week, and then next Monday you get the other ones for the week. You need to keep it fresh, so I can't do 1 month in a go, so it would have to be delivered on a weekly basis, and they will be cooked, so you just put them in a fridge, and this is for Monday, this is for Tuesday, this is for Wednesday, etc.
Thanks, Ella, for sharing your idea. I think it was great.
Lovely to meet you all.
Thanks. We're going to have our second startup, Natasha from Level Up.
Oh, hi, everyone. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Okay, hi. So yeah, it's really great to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Natasha, and I'm the founder of Level Up. So Level Up started because after graduating from university, I felt pretty lost personally and professionally, and kind of struggled to find a mentor to help me succeed in my career. And so basically the mission of Level Up is to make sure that other women don't, face a similar problem by empowering women through mentorship, education, and community. So currently, there is a really big problem. Women are underrepresented on boards, in leadership positions. They struggle to achieve equal pay, and they also struggle to raise capital. In 2019, only 7% of FTSE 100 companies had a female CEO. Female founders raised only 2.8% of capital invested across the entire US startup ecosystem that year. And women made on average 19% less than men in STEM industries. So as you can see, this is still a huge problem, and I know you're all really aware of it as well. And my belief is that through mentorship, women will gain the confidence they need to attain leadership roles and develop the necessary skills to thrive in the workplace. However, it's pretty hard to find a mentor, and it's also not equitable, especially for women. And so Level Up is solving this problem by creating a mobile app where women mentors and mentees can easily connect, ultimately empowering them to succeed in their careers. We have kind of a streamlined matching approach based on role, industry, career interests, and goals, and it will also be equitable, so free of charge for users, which is very much lacking in the space right now. Ultimately, it's kind of a win-win situation. Like, companies will be able to benefit from having women from diverse backgrounds in leadership roles and be able to get different perspectives. Men are also part of the solution, and we encourage men to be mentors, and it's important to have a diverse set of mentors. So in terms of the business model, Level Up is actually not charging its users to use the app because we want to be accessible to people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. And so instead, we have multiple revenue streams. The first is with companies. They can recruit female talent from the Level Up community, be able to use Level Up within their organizations. For universities, they can onboard students to find jobs and internships and use Level Up within their institutions for alumni mentorship. We're also going to be getting ad revenue from external courses and events, as well as the jobs board. And internally, we also want to have courses and events. So that's another revenue stream as well. So kind of as you can see, mentorship is an essential part of solving the problem of underrepresentation in traditionally male-dominated fields and positions. And yeah, I pretty much just encourage you all to join us on our mission and sign up as a mentor or mentee on our website and to get early access. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening, and it would be great to get any feedback that you have.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thanks, Natasha. I have a quick question. What, in terms of the four different revenue streams within the business model, what do you believe will be the most profitable and where you'll focus the most of your energy on in terms to obviously turn a profit for the company?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, I think right now we're trying to focus on companies and, really trying to, focus in on that, target companies. We're still kind of in the discovery phase, but basically just, asking companies what they would kind of want out of something like this. And I think especially also with the hiring piece of things as well. Actually, it's interesting because some startups have already approached me and have kind of, asked if, Level Up wants, if for example, they're hiring a senior software engineer, and they are asking if, there's any members of the community that would, be interested in that position. So I think that's something we want to focus on as well.
Yeah, and it's unique as well. I haven't seen that come from a mentorship program or a business before. So I think that would be really compelling. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Very good idea, Natasha. And obviously, if you look at my business currently, I'm doing something very similar for female founders, particularly, but more focused on the fundraising and mentoring around fundraising. I think it's what I've noticed, and you're spot on. There are also more and more businesses looking to hire more diverse talent. And they're looking for a place where to go to get access to this talent. I guess my question is, how are you looking to, how is the mentorship program itself built? Who is mentoring these women then on different roles? What does the product look like there?
Yeah, sure. I can explain that. I guess it's less of a traditional mentorship program and kind of what you're thinking about. And I guess like the main difference, because obviously, you know, some of our competitors would be like mentorship programs. I guess the main difference is those, like most of them you kind of have to pay for, which I think is a pretty big barrier to entry for some people. And actually like our target audience is, you know, university students and recent graduates who are probably already kind of like cash strapped. So I would say that, to, I guess, answer your question. So for example, as a mentee, you would sign up and kind of like make a profile. And in that you can include sort of like roles that you're interested in, and then what your sort of career interests are, and also goals. So I don't know, maybe a goal could be that you want to like have a salary raise or something, and kind of like, or want to figure out how to get a salary raise. And on the mentor side, if you know, you can basically put that you can help with that. And that's kind of like, so then like a mentee would basically see the options. So they, for example, like they'd have a list of like 5 options of mentors that match kind of the criteria they put. Does that, I don't know, does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a company I can send over to you that I did something similar in the US. I don't know which market you operate in. Is it US or Europe? It's called The Lighthouse, and it's more focusing on coaching. But I find their model very interesting, how they match the coaches and people. It's not focused on women; it's focused on everyone. But it's really interesting. So have a look.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
I've seen another one called Guider, which you might want to have a look at as well.
Okay, thanks. That does sound familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take a look. Yeah.
Guider is great. Guider. The only thing with Guider is that they provide you the platform itself as a software, but they don't bring you the coaches. So, for example, if you're a company, then you can use the platform, you know, to bring everybody together, but they don't give you the coaches. So they're just the kind of intermediary platform that you can use for coaching, which is also a really good approach, because they don't have to acquire any side of the marketplace. They just provide their software.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, sounds great. So how far along are you? When did you kind of put this together? What is your kind of roadmap? What is your kind of next step?
Yeah, sure. So I pretty much, started, it was kind of like an idea for the better half of last year, but really started, I guess, full time on it kind of like towards the end of last year. So I would say we're just like, it's in development in terms of the beta version of the app, which, yeah, the roadmap is like, it should be coming out soon, hopefully in like the next 1 to 2 months. So that's kind of, the idea is kind of then to, keep on like testing with users and iterating. Like we're already kind of doing some user testing right now for the beta version, and like, so just to continue kind of iterating on that, and then like release probably a larger version like towards the end of this year. And yeah, that's in terms of the product, I guess that's kind of like the product roadmap, if that answers your question. Yeah,
thank you.
Perfect. Is there any other feedback or questions to Natasha that you'd like to ask?
So I have a feedback, but I really liked your presentation because you came across like very confident, which I really admired. I think that we did ask, most of the questions which I wanted to ask, but I think I'll ask just your key differentiator, because that's probably what people want to hear.
Yeah, I would say so. Like the way I think about competition is kind of like, they fall into 2 buckets for me. There's sort of like the networking, like the professional networking apps. So, like I guess Bumble Biz, for example, they don't really have a mentorship angle. But so there's things like that. There's like, Bumble Biz. And then there's also just like women's networking groups in general. So maybe like Alpha is one, things like that. But I think the main differentiating factors from the networking apps is obviously they don't focus on mentorship. And so we do that. And we're also free, which is different from like a lot of the maybe like mentorship programs that are out there where you have to pay. So I would say, and then how we're kind of differentiated from like communities like Alpha is really just a community. Like, sure, we want to have a community aspect, but it's not the main focus. So I think really it's like about the focus also being on women, because there's there are like other mentorship things out there, but they're not really focused on women. So I would say there's like a few things, kind of like the price, the gender focus on women, and mentorship as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Natasha, for your great presentation, and thank you all for participations and feedback. So I believe this is coming to the end of our event, and I hope you have enjoyed today's sessions on remote leaderships and work-life balance. Thank you again to all of our panelists and our moderator, and Ella and Natasha for presenting their amazing ideas. And make sure to stay connected, and I hope to see you all in our future events.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.